Hey golfers, I'm Drew Mahowald of Second Swing Golf here at Second Swing Minnetonka, joined by Jake Montgomery in the tour van for a mini drivers comparison. It's 2025, mini drivers are still as popular as ever. I think this trend started maybe a couple years ago and it's picked up a ton of momentum. And now we got 3 new models this year, Jake. So I'm holding TaylorMade R7 Quad, then you've got Titleist GT280 and Callaway Elyte. Jake, just talk to me about this category. Talk to me about what you're seeing in the fitting bays with mini drivers and why they're applicable to golfers and why this is kind of being discovered like this.
Yeah, so I would say, especially this year, this is almost kind of like the new 7 wood. A lot of more golfers just kind of coming in, looking to try stuff out. When the GT280 released, I think we had 4 people that day coming in wanting to try it. Category can be a lot of different things for a lot of different people. For some people, it's really more of a driver replacement. For some people, it's just really a 3-wood on steroids. So it kind of depends on club head speed, what you struggle with, kind of what you're looking to get out of the club. But it can be a lot of different things for a lot of different people.
Yeah, it's really cool that we're seeing the industry as a whole evolve to even just trying different designs. For the longest time, right, it was your driver's 460cc, and then your 3-wood's going to be around 200, 180, somewhere in there. But there was never anything built in between there. So now we've got all these options, and we talk about size. GT280 is 280, and the cubic centimeters volume compartment. R7 Quad's around 300, Elyte Mini's around 340. So there's some differences there. What would you anticipate performance-wise when we do some testing? We'll hit a little bit off the deck, we'll hit a little bit off the tee. What would you anticipate being the differences between these 3?
So I would expect the size difference to be pretty important. Like the GT280 based on size is really just a large 3-wood. And on the other end of the spectrum, the Elyte Mini is really just kind of a small driver. The R7 kind of fits right in between there. It's like CC-wise, kind of right in between them. So I expect spin-wise, the smaller heads to be a little bit higher, bigger heads to be a little bit lower, especially when we take them off the tee. But I'm really curious to kind of put them all head-to-head and see where things fall.
Yeah, so a couple things we need to clarify ahead of time because our viewers notice this stuff. We appreciate how locked in they are in our testing. So this is the Speeder MD shaft built specifically for the R7 Quad. It's going to be that stock 60-gram stiff sort of category. We've got the Tensite 1K Blue in the 65S kind of category with the GT280, and then the Denali Charcoal 60-gram stiff for the Elyte Mini. So roughly 60-gram class stiff flex for all 3. With the R7 Quad, we talk about the weighting and stuff. The 13-gram weights are in the back. So standard stock weighting on all of these as well. Jake's going to be doing some swinging today. I'm looking forward to seeing what we get here.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Starting with the GT280. Solid ball speed, solid strike off the rip there. And I mean, hitting this bigger club off of this mat versus like a softer fairway.
Yeah,
it's a little more difficult.
For sure. Can't get quite as underneath it, but
yeah, be a lot of bottom face strikes.
Yeah. That's a bullet.
Yeah. Yeah, look at that.
A little spinny, cut a hair low in the face.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's going to be where it's probably important to test, and analyze how the performance is when the ball is struck on the lower half of the club face. Because a lot of people that play these and are going to hit these from the turf often will need that ball to perform well when the ball is hit below the equator of that club face.
Yep, 100%. That one felt pretty good.
Yeah, a little bit higher launch that time.
There we go.
That's a little bit more of what you're looking for there, huh?
100%.
I think there's a couple of things here to take note of. With GT280, you have a fairway wood club face. So it's got the kind of that L cup face, which is similar to the GT fairway woods, but then the crown is the same crown as the GT2 and GT3 drivers.
Yeah, the thermoform.
So kind of blend both of the builds and constructions together to create this club, and I think there's a reason to. I think Titleist purposefully made their club smaller than the others, because they wanted more playability off the deck.
Absolutely,
or at least I think aiming to get a little bit more of that versus off the tee.
Yeah, I mean, if someone comes in looking, like I said, for that just really long fairway club, this is absolutely the first place we're going to start because I mean, down to the ball, it really said a million times, just looks like a big fairway wood.
Yeah.
Might be a little pull there. Fast though.
Ball speed is not a concern here at all.
No.
You're getting high 1.4s every time.
That was a little toey.
Okay. Okay.
Wow.
That works out for a
That
nice
did.
little toe shot. All right. I mean, quickly, we'll kind of go through these quickly because we do have to hit off the tee as well. I think really, I'm just looking at the carry number. It's actually really consistent on the carry besides this ball here that I know you caught. That was exceptionally low in the face. Yeah. So other than that, though, we have actually a pretty good, average carry number consistency, right? We take that down, and all of a sudden it's plus or minus 2.1. The spin was a little bit, up and down to some degree, and that's going to happen with different strike locations. But what did you think about hitting that off the deck?
I mean, it definitely didn't feel difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm someone that I will occasionally hit driver off the deck if situation calls for it.
Yeah.
But I would say of the mini driver I've tested, this is definitely the easiest, especially to get up in the air.
Yeah.
I'm usually not seeing a launch angle around 7.5, 8 degrees out of a club like this. I play a 4-wood in this slot of my bag just because I don't typically launch the ball super high with a fairway. So seeing even 8.5 degrees there and still getting a pretty decent peak height, I was pleased with it.
Yeah, I mean, these are your carry dispersion, or excuse me, that's total. If you look at carry, look at how consistent that is. So you at least have good for even the different ways you struck the ball there, you have a good indication or a good idea of how far at least it's going to carry. And then depending on conditions, depending on firmness of the ground, you might get a bunch of rollout or you might not. But I think this definitely is something you could play off the deck, and there's 100%. No question. So, all right, what we're going to do now is we're going to hit, you got the tee set up for kind of a low height there. Let's go hit a few off the tee.
I was a little high on the face.
Okay. Actually works
out
out
there,
yeah. I mean, it plays, right? I mean, it's a miss hit that's still carry 260 to 280, a little bit right. Which is maybe part of the hit location, but nonetheless, it's a good swing. Yeah,
I mean, 144 smash factor for where I hit that, it's not bad. That one felt pretty solid.
Yeah.
Interesting, just not turning it over.
So it's funny though. So again, they're out to the right, and that's something that can be corrected by either you just gotta close that face a little bit. But I wanted to just point something out, how similar the numbers are between those two. So the carry is 0.1 yards off. The height is the same peak height.
Yeah.
Okay. So the face is open a little bit, but just how similar those are, despite what you felt like were different hit locations, I think is worth noting. So we'll see how that plays out the rest of the last couple shots here. But I'm sure if you turn it over a little bit, you'd probably get some more distance out of it. But
I mean, when I'm fitting someone, having mishits be as close to well struck balls, that's very important.
Right.
Like we're looking to make the misses as kind as possible.
Yeah. It was okay. All right.
Yeah, turn it over more.
Good ball
right
speed
again.
there.
Yeah. Just not turning this club over.
Yeah, and that's part of that happens sometimes. Just the way it goes. And that's the best thing is, so you had the one miss off the heel here. But this is going to be a little bit fun to look at the dispersion here in a second. But in terms of the consistency here, I mean, you're hitting the club consistently.
Yeah.
It was just for this alignment, this fit. It was just you had the face open for the most part. So I guess just looking at the numbers, is this kind of what you would expect? You hit the ball, you launched it 4 degrees higher. That seems pretty typical off the tee.
Yeah.
You're gaining probably 10 to 15 yards of carry.
Yeah, I mean, that absolutely makes sense.
Okay.
Launching the ball higher, it's spinning lower. As for my fairway wood goes, that's probably about 10 to maybe 15 yards past what it would traditionally be. So, I mean, we're definitely seeing more distance from it off the ground.
Okay.
And then driver for me, I mean, that's honestly probably 10 yards behind my average.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not losing a ton of distance on it. Now, typically if you're going to something like this, you're looking for it to be something that's a little straighter off the tee than the driver is.
And that would, that's the beauty of this though, is so 4 of your 5 shots were very similar. And I feel like as a fitter, you actually, you're not as discouraged by that.
No, not at all.
Because there are hosel adjustments you could make. And I'm not saying you would move it over exactly to the middle of the fairway. Obviously there's face angle things and swing technique things that are probably at play here a little bit.
Yeah.
But to have them, that same shot happen 4 times is probably actually, in a way, a positive for you because this club is consistent. You swing it a certain way that you can figure out with the fitting things that we're not achieving today. Shaft, hosel, weighting on the club as well, 100%. Things like that can make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, seeing something that repeatable is always very encouraging.
Yeah.
I'll have players that will miss the fairway right like that every time. I'm like, it's not a bad thing initially because we're still going to try different shafts, try different hosels.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we can move that 10, 15, sometimes 20 yards more to the left or to the right. But yeah, I mean, it was very repeatable both times that I hit it. I think I had to do a little tweaking just to kind of dial it in, but definitely a very consistent club.
Yeah, we got that going for the GT280. So, all right, now we're going to TaylorMade or we're going to Callaway?
We'll go R7. We'll just kind of progressively go up in size.
Smaller to, makes sense.
Felt a hair skinny, but
yeah, I mean that's gonna happen
not
again.
bad.
That's gonna happen with these mini drivers.
Yeah.
So the reality is with these clubs, they're going to be dangerous for most players to hit if you have to carry, like if you're trying to go on a par 5 and there's a hazard or a big bunker in front of the green.
100%.
There's going to be you better make sure you don't hit the lower part of the face, which is going to be difficult. So the miss for most players is going to be that low face kind of extra spinny shot, kind of like that one.
Yeah. Maybe a little pulley.
See, look at that.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, I mean, I like how straight that ended up being. It didn't turn over too much. At 7.1 launch, it started low, but it gave you actually a pretty solid spin number too.
Yeah, yes it did.
That's a pretty good shot there.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
All right.
Okay.
See, what I like about those two is they got almost the same spin number, and it's not diving either.
No, not at all.
Giving you a good carry number, 245 or so on both of those. Really
Honestly,
good.
I'm pretty impressed with the hang time out of something like this so far.
Yeah.
Should be a little straighter.
Yeah.
Okay. So right around 240 carry.
Yeah. I mean, which, again, you're on 240 carry and it's rolling out. I mean, again, that's more dependent on the conditions. We'll hit one more, but I like how right now this has been pretty consistent for you off the deck.
That one I got a hold of.
A little extra speed.
Yeah.
Look at that. All right. Really good set of shots off the turf with the R7 quad there. So that's actually all 5 in the carry department. So, I mean, for the sake of keeping things, I guess is this maybe the...
That was the low face one where the spin kind of kicked up a little bit.
There's not really that much of an outlier
here. It didn't vary much.
Yeah. It's just for the... I mean, this was maybe the biggest... I mean, just in terms of smash... I don't know. We'll just the first one, just based on your feedback, that was the one that you didn't seem the most pleased with. But really good here. So the 200 on the spin consistency off the deck is really good. That's pretty impressive. And again, we had similar things with GT280 off the turf too, for what it's worth. I just think I'm just referring to, back here we had one miss we took out with GT280 that was a little bit shorter, whereas this miss was right in the same kind of neighborhood. So really good though. I mean, I like that there's a little bit more spin with this one. So it gives you a little bit more stopping power, despite still it's going to be a lower flight.
Yeah, I'm curious. Can you pull up strike location? I'm curious to see if the R7 quad is any lower on the face on average compared to the 280 with a bigger head size.
Yeah, so lower on the face there. I mean, they're both
just a little
similar.
more toe. Okay.
Yeah, and that's going to be, again, that's going to be pretty typical with these clubs.
Yeah,
you're going to live on average below the equator.
Yeah,
so.
Especially I have hit these clubs outside when we've done some testing in the past. They are easier to hit off the deck on real grass because you are able to take a little bit of a divot there and kind of get that higher up on the face. But
especially if you're someone that already hits down on the ball, which I know you're not as
I'm pretty neutral
as steep. Yeah, you're pretty neutral. There are people that are very steep with the fairway woods. Of course, in here hitting up on a fairway wood makes it really tough too because it's just the club will just bounce off of there. So, but okay, let's go. Let's hit it off the tee now. Let's do that.
like to leave these right.
Yeah, just something about the length and the weight of this club.
Felt good. Think it's right again. Yeah, I mean, it's consistent.
I mean, yeah, that's the same exact shot you just said.
Yeah.
Look at, I mean, your spin was almost the exact same.
Mm-hmm. Definitely seeing a lot more spin from this so far.
Yeah, definitely. Which
is
we've talked about in this category with this club, not a bad thing to have a little bit extra spin.
Especially if this is going to be much easier to shape than a driver.
Yeah.
So if that spin rate allows you to curve the ball a lot more if you're looking for something that you can kind of control a little better.
Right. If you're a draw player, you're going to like this because the lot lower risk, as we've seen, of the diver or the snap hook
100%.
taking place, you know.
And I mean, usually my miss is kind of the opposite side of the fairway. That's why it's very surprising to see myself on the right side there, but it's not something I dislike. Okay.
Yeah, that's the shot today. Yeah.
If that one doesn't draw, there's something wrong.
All right. That's a good ball, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, again, I know there's a couple different shots there. Can bring up the dispersion here. So, this tendency to go right off the tee is still there. The face angle average is kind of up there in the 4 range.
Yep, just staying open.
But, I mean, and actually for the sake of consistency, we might even just take this guy out.
Yeah.
Right. So we've got our dispersion, but look how consistent again it is. The spin rate consistency is great with all these clubs so far.
Yeah.
I mean, 230. I mean, look at the spin rates here. We were in the 3000s every single time, mid 3000s. This one just got a little bit lower. But I mean, you have to be encouraged right now with the R7 quad. Both tee off the tee and off the turf. It gave you what you were looking for.
Yeah, I mean the spin rate consistency is better than what I see out of my irons. Yeah. I mean it's very repeatable. Now with some weighting, different shafts, stuff like that, like I feel pretty confident I could dial this into something that I'd really like.
Yeah.
But just seeing it be that repeatable is very encouraging.
Yeah, that's.
I'm curious. Can you show strike location for off the tee as well?
Yeah. We got that, and we got So you were just slightly towards the toe, and that was actually the case both off the tee and off the turf with GT280. So you were a little bit more squared with the R7 quad for what that's worth, but still, I mean, hey, this has been really good. We'll see where the Elyte Mini fits in here, but I think, I mean, so far both are playable for you.
Absolutely.
Well, I noticed one thing. It's louder.
100%.
Yeah.
It's also a lot more intimidating down at the ball off the ground.
The face is much deeper, right?
Yeah. I can definitely feel it's a lot lower on the face.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that's, you know what, that might be like, and again, we said this and we predicted this.
Yep.
I know you've even done separate content on this. The Elyte Mini is much bigger.
Yes.
And again, the deeper face makes it inherently more difficult to hit off the deck.
100%. So, the center of gravity on this is just a lot higher than the other two models.
Yes. Yeah.
That one I got pretty good.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good ball. That's what we were. That's the shot we were raving about with the R7 quad, where you're able to turn a draw, but the spin stayed up over 3,000 to give you enough lift to get some carry distance on it.
I mean, honestly, I'm pretty blown away by the spin rate on all three of these.
Yeah.
Like, the reason I went to a 4-wood is I was struggling to get a standard 3-wood, even in a max version, over 3,000.
Yeah.
So seeing these be that high, I mean, part of that's going to be the low strike on the face, but the spin rate's pretty good off the deck. Left that one a little right. Hands got behind me.
Okay.
I felt better. Maybe a hair left.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, similar to that last ball, though, where, So we've got 5. We'll quickly go through these, and then we'll hit some off the tee.
Yeah. I'm not shocked to see this be the lowest carry.
There's a visual element. I know that mentally you were it's already a tough hurdle, just getting over that deep club face. So yeah, that's where these come into play. Not quite carrying as far, a little bit less consistent as well. Granted, the spin is actually still pretty good.
Yeah.
But distance-wise, we're talking about plus or minus 2.1, plus or minus 2.2, and then we're at 4.9. Again, that's still really good. You have a good expectation of what the club will do for you and what it will deliver. But still, just for you off the tee, or excuse me, off the turf, the other two are a little bit better for you.
Now, this is something I bring up in fittings a lot as well. Like club head speed was the slowest. Club head speed generally tells me how comfortable you are with the club.
Yeah, that's.
If I hand someone a driver and it's 2 miles an hour faster, almost always, they're like, I just like the look of this because they just feel really comfortable going after it. I did not feel comfortable going after this one. Club head speed dropped down a little bit.
That's interesting. It is a confidence thing, isn't it?
Yes, 100%.
We're filming this right after the Masters.
Yep.
And before the third round, Rory made a comment that he had an extra 3 or 4 miles an hour swing speed on the range that day. So that the first hole, if people remember, he cleared the bunker off the tee, which nobody does.
Just a light 370.
Yeah. So to your point about confidence, he had just shot 66 the day before.
Yep.
He shot another 66 on Saturday at the Masters. The confidence was there. Sunday comes, he's nervous, he's scared, he's got the lead, leaves it right in the bunker off the tee, doesn't have that swing speed. So that's, anyway, a story relating to that point about swing speed. You're definitely slower there. It was probably a confidence thing. But I think the consistency of the club is not like a big difference compared to the other two you hit.
Not at all.
Okay, let's hit a few off the tee here, and then we'll sum everything up.
That was way toey.
Way toey, he says. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense as to where it ended up.
I definitely turned that one over more.
Okay. Yeah, it definitely started at the screen a little more.
There we go.
Yeah. Look at that one, like a knuckleball down the fairway.
Yeah.
And that is, a part of this to consider too. Is again, if you're going to play with this club primarily off the tee, I know that's you're going to recommend players to use this one just because it's the most driver-like build of the three.
Just low on the face.
Okay. Probably see some spin. Ooh, interesting. Another bullet.
Yep.
I think you're right about that center of gravity piece that you mentioned earlier too.
That was better.
Yeah, that was hit pretty good, just based on the initial ball speed read. Yep.
There we go.
There it is. A little extra distance with that one. I think that's probably the farthest total yardage of the day.
Yep.
At 284. I don't think I've seen that number yet. Another good one.
Yeah, that was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That'll work.
All right. And again, what we did for the entire test is we did a series of 5 shots in each sort of, format, and then we took the best 4 of them. So this is our set of data. We see off the tee, the carry distance edge goes to actually
280.
The GT280 on average. Yeah, because you had this series of swings over here that was very consistent, right? You were able to, it was, the face was staying open.
That's why it was carrying a little further.
And then why it probably, the reason it's a little bit further up there. But if we go to total, we see that the Elyte Mini had probably the best couple of swings of the day.
Absolutely. It definitely felt the easiest to turn over.
Yeah.
Again, it feels the most like a standard driver.
Yeah.
For some reason, the smaller minis, I just couldn't quite get the timing right with my hands. Just couldn't close them up. This just felt much more natural.
Yeah, I think there's something, again, we talked about it, we said it, we'll say it again, there's a visual element to these. It's not these are clubs that most golfers haven't seen something like.
Yep.
There's been the standard 460cc driver. There's been your standard 15-degree 3-woods that are 180 to 200 cc's.
Yep. But
we really haven't seen many clubs like this, and so it's different to look at. It's tough to get the confidence level up there. We talked about the swing speed piece. But to your point, I think these 3 shots here that I'm clicking on, that with the Elyte Mini off the tee, you're able to turn over more like a driver.
Yep.
So that plays the most like a driver, as we mentioned. But the R7 are these 2 ovals here. A lot of consistency on distance throughout all the shots, not just like off the tee. And I mean, 244, 249. and then really consistent on both. Same with GT280. I mean, the consistency there is just GT280 with those outright had a little more carry distance, but
yeah, the 280 spin rate surprised me a little bit. Now, part of that was I was catching those a little more out of the toe.
okay.
So that's going to drop the spin rate down a little bit. But I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't hurting for ball speed because of it. It was a 147 smash factor both times. I think for the R7, one thing that I love about both the 280 and the R7 is that they have adjustable weights. So
Yeah.
seeing that spin rate be 3,500 for both,
Right.
I'd probably put those 13 grams up front and just kind of try and knock that down a little
Yeah.
bit. I also find for myself, actually, with a center of gravity more forward, it's easier for me to turn that club through. So for myself, for example, I would probably put the heavy weight forward.
Okay.
But that's the beautiful thing about these is they're so adjustable these days. I can fine tune it to be more driver-like, more fairway-like,
Yep.
just kind of based on what the player is looking for.
Right. It's there's options.
Yep.
I mean, this is the absolute tip of the iceberg in terms of what a fitting would look like because there's
100%.
shafts to try, there's hosel settings on all these to try, and then of course the different weights.
Yeah, this
that
is
you can move
basically
around
the
as well.
first step. What I have someone do is I just kind of keep everything stock and have them
Yep.
run through there, and then we'll take what we like and adjust it.
Yep. And then I know the next question is kind of what ovals do you like the best, right?
Yeah.
Is sort of the next piece, but really good stuff. So I guess in summary, we've got all this data up here. We talked about how consistent all the clubs are, but I think it kind of proves true to what you predicted about how the clubs look. Certainly in terms of the Elyte Mini, where for you, much more consistent and better performance, better distance off the tee versus off the turf. But I think really the other two, the R7 Quad and the GT280, are playable for you in both circumstances. And I think I was surprised that how playable they were. The GT280 did really well off the tee in terms of getting that ball consistently far enough down there. R7 Quad versatile with both circumstances as well. I think these are really good products here.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great year for mini drivers. I'm really excited to kind of see the builds that we come up with for a lot of players this year. Yeah,
this will be a lot of fun. Well, golfers, mini drivers, not going away in 2025. 3 new really good options here. We compare them all for you. Best way to see for yourself which one is right for you is to go get fit. Someone like Jake will take care of you, give you a bunch of data, give you a bunch of information, and you can add it to the top of your bag. So, Jake, thanks for doing all the swinging today, giving us all this information here.
No problem. A lot of fun.